Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to all our friends, viewers, stakeholders, fans of Africa Rise with Susan West. It is a brilliant Sunday today here in London. I do hope that wherever you're joining us from, that if your day has started well and that you've had a lovely day. Our broadcast today is about the road to 2023 and the Nigeria elections, and just a little background to all our brothers, to our brothers and sisters all around the continent and in the diaspora, as to the intrigues and the content building up to the 2023 elections and how important um, the 23 elections will be for Nigeria, the Make Omar elections for Nigeria. So I have a few brothers who are supposed to be joining me, but just before they join in, I'm just going to carry on anyway. Um, so yes, I do hope that you were looking forward to seeing us. So as you join the broadcast, share, 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 invite your friends, send in your questions and comments. And if you are brave enough and you want to show up here, signal me in the comment section and I will send you an invite to join us live here. If you have anything you'd like to contribute to the conversation. All right. Prince Ruyambo, welcome all the way from Norway. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, just a little background. So, 1960, Nigeria gained her independence from British colonial rule. And after that, Nigeria, cut the long story short, Nigeria has been having her highs and lows, trying to find her way um, as a country. And by the way, for many people who don't really know much about Nigeria, Nigeria is a country on the African continent. Is in the west. It's West Africa. You find Nigeria in the western part of Africa on the map of the continent of Africa. Yes. So basically, yesterday, the 1st of October, Nigeria turned a year older. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Could we have a crew on today's topic? Of course, we can. And you can be one of them, Prince Riambo. If you want to join, please do so. I'm waiting for my other guests to come in as soon as they can. Okay. So, one of the reasons why the 23 elections will be the most significant ever is because in the past 7 years, Nigeria has suffered inept leadership. Nigeria has grown from a country that looked like she could compete with the likes of Europe and the other, developed countries from 2005 to beginning to look as though, even though it's not a state that has been declared to be in war, she is actually in war. That's the honest truth. A lot of drama has unfolded in the past few years that has marred the present government of Nigeria, and a lot of voices have been, raised. Some people calling for secession, some people asking for referendum to be made for restructuring of the Nigerian system, the Nigerian constitution, because every part of Nigeria just was dissatisfied with what they were given. Lidio Masingwe, welcome. From Mozambique, welcome. So basically, when all hope felt like it was lost, suddenly something happened in Nigeria where just one man, a single man, made comments and statements. And for the first time in Nigeria, people were able to fact check this person's story. And suddenly we realized that all hope is not lost, that Nigeria indeed has people who have integrity and can indeed be able to handle the affairs of Nigeria and bring her out of the brink that she's in. So basically, there are a few political parties in Nigeria. I'm going to mention the major ones that I remember off my head, which is the APC, the PDP, and now the Labour Party, and there, of course, there is the NNPP. I'm calling a few of there is. Let me get the name of the other party. What's Showare's party again? Yes, I'm gonna get that up. Now, before now, we literally had a lot of registered parties, but just two parties were significant. The parties are the APC or the PDP, which a lot of people will say are two sides of the same coin. Because right from 1999, when we started, we went back into this next phase of democracy Nigerian, as Nigeria. We had the PDP and other parties, and finally the PDP somehow outlived the other parties. Showare's party is called the African Action Congress. Yes. Um, so basically, the PDP outlived all the other parties, and then suddenly there were intrigues. There were gameplays that outplayed some aspirants in the during the primaries of the PDP. And so one of the major stakeholders there, called Peter Obi, launched himself out and decided he wasn't going to be able to play the politics of money. They say politics is a game of money, but in Nigeria, it's at a different level, basically. And so um, he went on to join in the Labour Party. The Labour Party has always been there, but now because Peter Obi has joined the Labour Party and was beginning to gain traction with young people, he was resonating with the young people. Therefore, um, people started paying more attention to the Labour Party. And something phenomenal is beginning to happen, which is the elections are coming up. We know that it's become the norm. It's become part of the political culture in Nigeria for political parties to buy people's votes, to pay for people's votes, basically. And then we're beginning to see where ordinary Nigerians who are struggling to make ends meet are beginning to garner or bring their support behind a man who has been famed to be a very stingy man. Now, people in Europe might not understand why will judge someone by their ability to give their personal wealth or share their personal funds with other people just to gain access to a public office. But on the African continent, I'm sure we understand how it works. There is a lot of corruption, and the people are ill educated. The people are um, yet to really understand the game of politics and understanding how they can sell off their future, just by taking a little something from a particular aspirant and voting for the person, and for the next 4 years, you're dealt with whatever it is, and you can't do anything about it. So we have the young people of Nigeria waking up to say that enough is enough. We are not going to sell our votes. Nobody is going to buy our votes. And because we have listened to this person who has antecedents, who has history that we can go back to, which is that once upon a time, he was a governor of a southeastern state called Anambra State. And in that time, the man called Peter Obi was a prudent governor who even his fellow governors could attest to was quite economic in the way that he spent money. But having woken up to the reality of the sort of politics we've enjoyed this few years, where people share money and then we look at them as generous people, not really understanding that the money they're sharing is our money, is our commonwealth, all in their pockets, and then they give um, trickles of those around, and then we worship these people and make them gods, and we elevate them to positions where they are unquestionable, even when they're not living up to expectation. So basically, today's broadcast is going to be about all of this, what how it came to this point for Nigerians, to the point where literally people offer the the other parties who are able to offer a lot of money to buy goods are offering monies, and these young people are saying we're not going to take this money, and they take to the streets in London, in Nigeria, all around the world where you have Nigerians. They have been set out dates for a 1 million man march, 4 million man march, and so on and so forth. And this is unprecedented. Hence the reason why um, it's something we're going to be having critical look into. And of course, in 2020, just to refresh our memory, a lot of young people were killed at the Lekki toll gate in Lagos State of Nigeria. Now, Lagos State is the most populous state in Nigeria, commercial capital of Nigeria. And so there are young people and people not so young who have fingered a few people who are responsible for calling the army on the innocent citizens of Nigeria. And so they have not forgotten and they are not forgiven. And the way that they're fighting back is to make sure that we get someone who we think that we are the ones hiring, who we think we can control by, you know, making sure that this person is accountable to the people, which is the way it's supposed to be anyway. So there is a Facebook user without a name. He says, Happy 62nd Independence Anniversary celebration to all Nigerians, both at home and around the global world. We can only wish for peaceful, progressive, prosperous, and paradisal country where truth, justice, equity, fairness, and unity is enthroned as the order of the day. Absolutely, whoever this person is, thank you very much. And oh, yes, I see one of my guests was trying to join in and he breezed in and breezed out. Let's see if we can get him back on. In Washington, Stanley, all the way from Berlin, Germany. He's in Berlin. Washington was supposed to be joining us as well. Okay, Starman Alpha, so good to see you. Can I say Happy New Year? Oh, your audio, I can't hear you, Starman. Yes, Starman Alpha is one of our star guests on Africa Rise TV. We haven't had him in a long time, so good to see him.
How about now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. You're looking well.
Hi. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yes. So Starman, we just I've been waiting for you to come in, and Washington Starley is not going to be able to join us because he's out of his base, but he says he's still going to try. But let's shoot. So Starman, what is so different about 2023 elections for you?
2023 elections. Um, well, first of all, to me, it's like I'm seeing the same exact mass hysteria we saw in 2015. The way people were going giddy and crazy. Oh, change, change, change. Now it's obedient, obedient, obedient. And, there's kind of zombieism to the whole thing. Nigerians have become used to they've become used to the mediocrity. They've become used to the abnormality where their only participation in the Nigerian state is that once every 4 years that they have to vote. And because that's the only thing that links them to Nigeria, they can't imagine doing anything else. They can't even imagine not voting. Voting every 4 years kind of psychs them that they are Nigerians, even though they know voting is not going to do anything for them. And what I find, and this is why I said is a kind of zombieism, what I find most perplexing is, you have a supposed educated middle class that's supposed to be, a stock of the brightest Nigerians who, even though they're not progressing in Nigeria, when they get abroad, they begin to shine. But, you have this stock of Nigerians and other Nigerians who we all know that the politicians are below mediocrity, the politicians are corrupt, the politicians have no interest in progressing the country. The electoral system itself is rigged, but yet we carry on participating in this election.
So, Starman, what were we supposed to do? We are a democracy. We're supposed to have elections. So, what was Nigeria supposed to do so that we don't encourage this mediocrity? Because, in my opinion, I'm of the opinion that Nigeria needs to be restructured. I supported all of the voices that was talking about what's this one about the Lower Niger
Is it Ninas?
Ninas. I'm up for it. But until all of these things saw the light of day and gained some kind of traction that the people could really see something tangible, what were we supposed to do? We're supposed to hold elections. And the next best thing is to find the most credible person, isn't it? Why do you why do you feel like it's exactly the same thing that happened in 2015 when they shouted say Baba to now where it's the obedient um
Uh,
poll?
because first of all, we've already seen all the attempts at rigging going on, the fake, identities, people in other countries like Niger and Chad that already have PVC. Meanwhile, people in certain parts of Nigeria can't get their PVC.
That's
We've
right.
already seen all that. It's like, you know, you already know everything is rigged, uh, and, why keep validating the fraud? I think this is a thing of principle here. Why keep validating a fraud when you already know it's a fraud, and you just go along with it anyway, and you are the ultimate victim of that fraud? It doesn't make
Okay.
sense to me.
It doesn't make sense, but realistically, Starman, we have to be
Yeah,
realistic. It doesn't make sense. If we were to sit down and just idealize how we should get ourselves out of this mess, we all know what the ideas are. But realistically, what is the next thing we can do whilst we're waiting to get to that point? First of all, you have a society that is heavily undereducated. Even the educated people are not that enlightened enough to even understand the gimmicks of politics. So what is supposed to be shouldn't Nigerians embrace this one person that seemed to be someone that is at least a bit of without sin in politics? That is Peter Obi. So the obedient people. The reason why people are clamoring around him, why? Because we listened to him on television, on radio. When he was governor, not one single person, even his enemies, cannot smudge his person to say that he stole, which is the big problem Nigeria faced. Now I know that becoming the president of Nigeria is totally different from becoming a lot different from becoming being a state governor where you don't have to deal with too much of the tribalism, ethnocentrism, or the religious aspect of it that they use in breaking us apart in Nigeria. However, Nigeria has been craving for someone who at least is able, who is not drawn by the the beauty of having power and using that power for his own selfish gain and becoming rich by stealing public funds. Why shouldn't Nigerians be excited about this one person?
I mean, I know there's a lot of clamor for Peter Obi, but Peter Obi himself once said that Nigeria is like a car with a knocked engine, and then suddenly he volunteers to be the driver. Peter Obi knows that Nigeria's problems are beyond just
Starman, can we see your beautiful face when you're talking?
right. Okay, sorry. Oof. Yeah. Okay. Peter Obi knows that Nigeria's problems are beyond, uh, just the change of leadership. Nigeria's problems are structural.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reality. Nigeria's problems are structural.
So,
Um, uh, uh, uh,
so
yes. The
how can he
and
make the change, structural changes, if he doesn't assume the
but you see
position to be able
the
to do that?
but you see the thing is, yeah, and there's a lot of background to this. I do not think Peter Obi is going to win, and I think the Nigerians clamoring for Peter Obi, they are not thinking. So what happens if Peter Obi doesn't win? That's one.
Mm-hmm.
Two. What happens if Atiku wins? That's
Mm-hmm.
two. Three. What happens if Tinubu wins
Mm-hmm.
and then dies in office?
Mm-hmm.
So, if you want to go into a gamble, don't just look at what you think, the your odds are in favor. Look at the ratio of the odds to for and against in favor of you. You don't just no, there's hope, there's hope. How about plan B? What happens if Peter Obi doesn't win? And for people, I'm sure you can see the flag behind me. I'm one of those in the camp of break Nigeria up to end this madness. For people like me, I think this Peter Obi clamor and him participating and him diverting people's attention from what they should actually be doing, which is the clamor for self determination, he's only setting everybody back.
Really?
Yes, he's only setting everybody. Peter Obi he's not. Well, doesn't. I mean, I haven't heard him talk about how he's going to end insecurity. The last time I was watching, they were asking him about insecurity. He was talking about economics. I haven't heard him drop a clear-cut manifesto to say, right, this is. So I looking at him, I don't really know what he's going to do. I can't see how he's going to end the insecurity. And even this election, I'm even wondering how it's going to hold with the level of insecurity. Like, how legitimate is this election even going to be ultimately?
I also heard there are parts of the country in the north where terrorists that they call bandits have also said that elections will not hold. They literally are the lords in those areas, and these are
Right.
places that, yeah. So
And then there's about 3 million internally displaced people. Can you imagine that? There's about 3 million internally displaced people in Nigerians in Nigeria. That's people that their villages have been attacked. They're running away from the bandits. Just you know. So what exactly is the legitimacy of this election? With everything we've seen now. Personally, if Nigerians want to end their suffering quick, they have to start looking revolutionary. At the end of the day, every Nigerian knows their politicians are not there for their interests. So you have to find a way of putting these politicians under pressure. In case Nigerians have forgotten what a revolution looks like, let me remind you, end SARS. And also, something that looks like what actually needs to happen in Nigeria. Remember the when people just during COVID, and then people found the palliatives. Can you imagine if instead of going to those warehouses where there were the palliatives, that was the crowds of people going to the politicians' houses? That's the
Mm.
kind of pressure politicians need.
I know, Starman, you're such a you you're at a different level with the way you think. But let me tell you what. When we're talking about revolution, the one person who used the exact word revolution now, give me a revolution or I die, something like that, is Omoyele Sowore, who I had on this program last weekend. He's also running for election. He's also running. So, how exactly do you think we could have been able to achieve this without a structure that leads us up to that point?
You see, this is why I said earlier that what's happening today with respect to 2023 is exactly like what I saw in 2020,
15.
2019. Well, 20. Well, first of all, the first iteration of it was 2015, and
Hmm.
the second time was 2019. Now, the hysteria is the same. Oh, change, change, change. Oh, obedience, obedience. But that's the similarity with 2023 and 2015. The similarity with 2023 and 2019 is Shore and Obi. Shore looked like this outsider that was coming to disrupt the whole thing. You know,
Hmm.
there was so much clamor, just like there is for Obi today. There was social media was full of Shore warriors, all take it back, take it back. But look what they did to him in the election. I mean, I think they said he got something like 33,000 votes, which is unbelievable. 33,000 votes, really, with all that clamor. And I see Obi in the same position. You know, he's not one of the, he's from an outsider party. He's not one of the big two. The big two have too much vested selfish interests. So let some outsider just come and append their whole arrangement. No,
Mm.
they're not going to do this. And also, with respect to people with agendas, have been pushing whatever agenda they've been pushing for years. And then today, they are now in this position where they've used nepotism to seize all branches of state apparatus. Yeah. Now, they're literally, their agenda is fully agending. You know, does anyone really believe that they'll just hand over the keys to power just so that Peter Obi, because that's who the people of Nigeria that they've never listened to wanted. Remember what happened to Abiola? Abiola was the first, the most democratic, the most least rigged election in Nigeria,
Elections.
and people's choice was clear, but they still found a way, some rigmarole, mago way to mess that up for the people. Nigeria is not designed for the people. Nigeria
As
is
it
not.
is currently.
It's not. Which is why the people need to rise up. Popular uprising, popular revolution. If you think your politicians or anybody is going to go swearing oath to that constitution that is used to bind you, and this person, how, do you remember after Buhari won in 2015? So someone actually printed 81 promises. 81 promises Buhari made. How many? And heaven did not fall down. Nothing
Hmm.
happened.
Because we don't hold them accountable.
Even they recently they removed the centralization of production of power from the exclusive list. But how far? What's going on? Does there look like? Does any state even look like they are taking charge of anything? And then again, with the insecurity everywhere. I still don't understand. See, the thing is, on the day, yeah, you turn on your TV and you see supposedly educated people asking, who won? Who won? And you tell them, but they rigged it. And they'll tell you, I know, but who won? Like, it makes sense.
Guess what?
Yeah.
Let me take a read from Washington Stanley. It says, as it stands now, with the clamor and hysteria all over the country now, if the youth sustain the pressure and not dispersed with gun pressure, as it happened in NSAS, then mother of all revolution is loading if Obi is rigged out, which is obviously inevitable.
Yeah.
So basically, what Washington Stanley is saying is that they will rig Obi out, and then the revolution will start.
Yes, I mean, that could be a trigger. But uh, knowing Nigerians, I doubt it. But, if anything, at least it would wake a lot of people up and turn a lot of people more towards self-determination. But see, the
Well,
thing is, it's very difficult to have a popular revolution in Nigeria because of all the divisions. So first of all, there's the religious division. When the Christians want to revolt, like with NSAS, the Muslims up north are saying, "What are you guys on about?" And besides, NSAS wasn't even affecting them. Because that NSAS wasn't designed for the north. Sorry, SARS wasn't designed for the north. You know, and then when you somehow manage to maybe get past or sort out the religious issue, then there's the ethnic issue. You know, and then after that, then there's the age demographic issue. The youth always. It's like the older people now, the older generations are saying, "Look, like we've been doing this thing you guys are doing now. We've been doing it for years. We're tired," but they don't want to know. So at the end of the day, this election will carry on. It will be a charade. They will rig someone in. But as for the youths, oof, especially after they've been bloodied with NSAS, I think they're still in shock. I think,
so if
yeah.
I listen to you, I don't find any hope. If I listen to everything you've just said, I don't find any hope as to how anything is going to change in Nigeria as far as the elections are concerned. But I was very, very, very hopeful after watching the rally in London, the rally in Lagos, in Abuja, and so many other places, even in Jos. The numbers. Politics is a game of numbers, isn't it? And now that and now, yes, I do understand that these people are trying to bring in foreigners, as far as foreigners are concerned, as speaking about foreigners, as talking about their people who speak the same language with them from Chad and all this Niger and all these places. I understand that. However, the sort of momentum we're seeing is not just restricted to the southeast, south, southwest. Okay, so why is there not even that little percentage in your mind that this can actually work, that the strength of the people, the will of the people can actually overpower and override all of the evil plans of
Because
the
Nigeria has
of
never been
the
about. Sorry, carry on.
yes. So
Well,
oh, sorry, I'm not sure if my neighbor is cooking something. It's really crazy here. It's choking me. So basically, I'm sorry.
sorry.
So basically, the power of the people can actually do in every country where there have been some sort of change. It is the power of the people because the people understood and realized the power and the strength that they have as a unit. Are you not seeing that possibility
But
without necessarily
you see, this is what I'm saying. The people in Nigeria have been fooled into thinking they have any power with elections. And I'm saying that their only power is popular uprising, popular revolution. You know, yeah, take some water.
sorry, I have to take some water. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah,
Carry
the
on.
only hope, the only hope people have is popular uprising. They have to get rid of the elite because the elite is they've never acted in. I mean, this is an elite that they allocate money to them to build a road, and they pocket the money. You know, so the and the the elite has never done anything. If anyone thinks, oh, maybe they are just going to wake up on the election day and somehow change and become, no, it's not going to happen. And ultimately, the thing is, people need to realize Nigeria is a failed state. I keep saying this.
Oops. I said oops to that
No,
because
but it's
that's
true. In fact, I've been challenging people to bets. $1,000 if you can prove to me that Nigeria is not a failed state, and I'll prove to you that it's a failed state. It's a state where, by all metrics of what a failed state is, Nigeria scores highly on all 12 metrics. You know,
the
so
East. Eroy says the new electoral law will curb rigging to a very great extent. The youth will be the polling agent for Peter Obi. Now, that's a very, I suspect, a big supporter for Peter Obi. So, what do you say to that?
yeah, and I mean, like
I know,
this is
I know. Let me tell you what, I'm a bit skeptical at times because when I see on the news, I see um, voting cards. Only in the south, in the southeast, we find piles of voting cards. These are voter cards for people who are supposed to be voting, and they apparently are already discarded somewhere.
right.
So these people are going to go to their polling units and are not able to get their voting cards, which means they cannot vote. So
Yeah,
this is a systematic way they're already disenfranchising people from voting.
I'm now convinced that Nigerians are very easy to goad, to manipulate. They've been shouting, "Oh, electoral reform, electoral reform." This is how during two election, every election, they always come. Oh, we've made some change. Oh, with PVC, it's now harder to rig. We've done this. It's now harder to electronic voting is now harder. Next thing they said, oh, the electronic machines weren't working. They always come up with a new rules, and people keep falling for it every election. The thing is, these youths that are clamoring for P2B, they are young. They haven't. Many of them, come on, many of them weren't even taught history in school. Even though, I keep telling them, look, but at least you're in the 21st century. You have a mobile phone, you have internet connection, and you know your history was hidden. Why not go find it? Go look for it yourself. Are you waiting for it to be served to you? So they're good. They're gonna make the same mistakes. But the thing is, the longer they keep making these mistakes, the longer this madness carries on, and the more they waste their own lives. Even by the time they make this mistake now, okay, so we go 2023, P2B doesn't win. That's it. If you're in your 20, you say you're 22 in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
By the time whoever wins, if P2B doesn't win, that's 8 years of your life gone.
Gone. That's right.
You're now 30 by then. And then you now have a new generation still clamoring, go and get your PVC, go and get. This is the mistake we've all been making. And the elder ones are trying to tell them now, look, let's stop this madness. It's insanity to simply keep doing the same thing and expecting the same
Expecting a
result.
different result.
It's insanity. So 8 years later, they're in their 30s, they're frustrated. But then there'll be a new generation that they've sold the Nigeria dream, the giant of Africa bullshit dream. Like, that was the most distracting thing they ever used to turn Nigerians' heads. to make them believe that they were some sort of giant of Africa. And then you see the new youth then in 2020, 2031, oh, PVC, get your PVC. We have our man. Who knows? He might be sure then. He might be, a bit more advanced in his years. Who knows? Or some other, who knows? But the same game will continue playing until Nigerians prepare themselves to make the ultimate sacrifice, which is popular revolution and popular uprising, to get rid of this corrupt political class that operate like like a prison warder. Nigerians need to understand that Nigeria is a prison. Why is everybody trying to run away? If Nigeria is not a concentration camp,
Wow.
how many countries do you know that literally everybody is looking for a way to run away? Have you seen the new trend, Jackpa? Everybody is now trying to Jackpa. They see them in Twitter Spaces. They have full program how to go to embassy, how to apply for the visa, how to raise money for your tickets, the first thing to do as soon as you touch down in that country, how to apply for school, full program.
Wow. Yeah.
Jackpa is now a new movement. Jackpa.
I can tell you, I have never known Nigerians wanting to leave Nigeria as much as they do. They've been doing, or they've been thinking to do lately, because you know being back home is as though there is no hope. They're only hoping, um, for Christians, they only, of course, having faith in God that some sort of miracle will happen. Washington Stanley says, Tinubu, they all these activities for politicians come to talk to the bar, come to talk to, there are different platforms where they invite all these presidential aspirants to come and talk, and Tinubu is always missing in action. He's deputy sometimes turns up for him, but Washington Stanley says Tinubu has disappeared. He has gone to kiss the ring in preparation to ascend to Aso Rock, as Buhari did. United States ambassador had also visited their incoming puppet president. However, these attempts to impose another president upon Nigerians will trigger revolution. I was so insulted when I watched on TV the Consular General of America, is it American Embassy, go and visit Tinubu, who is just a candidate who hasn't
I
won
mean,
an election. And
it
she
was
had the audacity to open her mouth to say that this is not an endorsement, like she's talking to fools. And I just thought, this is how they quietly endorsed Buhari, by
yep,
taking him to CNN and having Christiana Mampo literally
polished
falling
up.
over him.
Yes, polished
But
Buhari up. And then
yes,
Obama too put his mouth on the eve of the election. That what Obama did was wrong. What Obama did, yeah, that very thing, and destabilizing Libya. I have absolutely no regard for that man.
you're not alone. You're not
Yeah.
alone in that regard. Yes. So, of course, we see the handwriting on the wall. We're not stupid anymore. We now know the way they play their game. The fact that she went to visit a candidate and did not visit the other candidates was loud enough for us to understand that America will never have a president who is sick and ailing. We already have seen what an ailing person can do to a country. We had
Yep.
Buhari, who spent more than 50% of his time abroad taking care of his health. And now you're seeing someone who can hardly, barely even stand on a stage to address a conference, and you're pushing him. You are endorsing him, even though you're saying that it's not an endorsement, as far as America has done. And Tinubu is nowhere to be found in Nigeria. The nonsensical excuses they make for him is that he's run away to go and rest because they won't let him rest in Lagos. He cannot even rest in Abuja. I mean, you're not going to rest in the next 8 years if you are the president of Nigeria. What were you thinking? What are you thinking? If you lack the mental strength and capacity to be president, why are you running? If you lack the physical strength to run for president, why are you running?
Exactly. I mean, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And this is why I said earlier that, these people clamoring for this, oh, election, PVC, they are not asking themselves the question, what happens if Tinubu is rigged in and then he dies or is annihilated a year or two in? What happens? Why are they pushing him? He himself, what's wrong with him? How obsessed can you be with power?
Sorry, he's obsessed. Just pure, it's just a fantasy in his mind that he has to realize. And to him, Nigeria is a joke, because if he thought Nigeria was serious enough, he should know that he is not. Whatever they may say about him, as far as when he was governor of Lagos State, that is inconsequential, because this is someone who is he's not as young as he was when he was governor of Lagos State. He's clearly not well. And of course, I'm not one of those who will be making jest of someone who is ill. However, I understand that if you know you're not well, you have no business trying to take up a responsibility that will gravely injure your health. Like, literally speed up how quickly your health can deteriorate.
Exactly.
So, um, you see, the reason why a lot of people are hoping against hope that Peter Obi will see the light of day, if anything, if not for anything, the fact that he has a clean record, he's well, so far from what we know of him, he's not going to be driven by the urge to steal public funds for his personal aggrandizement and enrichment. And so, that little ray of hope, well, as we round up, Starman.
But but he's only one man. You see, Nigerians now have a messiah complex. Well, we expecting some messiah to come
We
and
can't see
save
your
us all.
face,
Sorry.
Starman.
We keep expecting some sort of messiah to come and save us all. We are all. You can clearly see most Nigerians are waiting, hoping that one day they will turn on their TV and see that Nigeria done better. Meanwhile, I'm saying that Nigeria is a failed state, and you know, we could go through all the metrics. By all those metrics, Nigeria is failed. Uh, Peter Obi is one man. He doesn't even. He's hardly going to have any control of the Senate, because the two main political parties are already entrenched in the Senate. I mean, they are the ones that have the money to bribe people. They are the ones that have structures and infrastructure to prosecute a typical Nigerian election with all the money needed to rig it and everything. And like I said, the Labour Party, oof, they're hardly going to control the Senate. You know, if anything, I wonder how much following they even have up north.
But
So
when you see how the young people are beginning to influence the their communities, you have the current governor of Edo State, Obaseki, talking about who is it that will say that they don't have an obedient in their household. See, this is how the young people are influencing things. This is how the young people are trying to change things. These people in their households are senators, are House of Representative members, and governors. So, do you not think that if the people really stick up to this and stand up to this, and the young people really stand up to this, that they can also make these people who will occupy the National Assembly to fall in line?
Okay. I mean, people have tried to make our politicians fall in line, but our politicians, I mean, the constitution gives them, absolves them of being responsible to you. So you can do anything you want. They don't care. And, it's funny how every Nigerian, at some point in time in their lives, they've all said, oh, this country, even if you bring Jesus Christ cannot lead this country. Jesus Christ cannot run this country. Everybody has said that at some stage in their lives. But this is why I say most Nigerians have cognitive dissonance, because even though they know this, that even if you bring Jesus Christ, the ultimate example of a leader, the shepherd of men, and you know that even Jesus can't run Nigeria, but then you're turning around and saying, oh, Ali, our problem is just good leadership. It doesn't make sense. That's cognitive dissonance. If the same brain is harboring these two thoughts at the same time and not feeling the conflict, that's cognitive dissonance. How can you say that even Jesus Christ, the ultimate example of a leader, cannot run Nigeria, but then they are here clamoring for hope that, oh, we just need a good leader? When there's no structure, a leader with no structure is just as bad as having a good leader with a bad structure. It's just as bad as having a bad leader. It's better to have a bad leader with a good structure. Yeah, like America and Donald Trump. Donald Trump was a shitty leader, but the structure was so good he couldn't wreck the country. Look at Nigeria. Bad structure, bad leader like Buhari came in. Look at what Nigeria is now, a country with an undeclared war. And then another bad one is coming again. In fact, the structure actually enables the bad leaders to come.
Right. So as we round up, let me take Washington Stanley's comments. He says, someone once said that a terrorist will eventually rule Nigeria one day, and it's about to happen with Tinubu's aspiration to be president, with his vice president who's a known terrorist sympathizer. There is obedience in every household, but some of the obedience haven't gotten the voter's card. And there we go. There we go. Just as I opened up this broadcast with a little more of a bubbly spirit, hoping that I was going to hear something from Starman that was going to finally cement it for me and make me feel, yeah, because, Starman. And then here we go again. But guess what? Hoping against all hope.
Sorry to be the bearer of hard news, but let's even try and look at first of all, Obi is not going to win in the north. People will vote for him, yes, I agree, but there's far more Almajiri poor people than the educated ones that even know the Almajiri don't know who Peter Obi is. And those ones, all they need is 2,000 naira on the day. From 8 years old he's not going to win in the north. He will win one or two, maybe like the urban areas where people are still a bit more educated, they know about him small, But he's not going to win the north. Then the west. Come on. In as much as a lot of Yoruba people are progressive, they like Peter Obi. But let's not try and make it like we don't know Nigeria is dominated by tribal politics. There's still some people that, to them, an Igbo man is not going to solve their problems as a Yoruba man. To them, is a thing, as a Yoruba man, they have to vote for a Yoruba man. So at best, he will split the vote in the West, at best. And then even splitting it's not going to be 50-50, because again, remember, Nigeria, due to the poor educational system, all these people you see on social media that can at least read and write, they are a tiny percentage compared to the people that you don't see on social media that can't afford the internet, the data and all that in motor park, market and all those places. You know, they are a tiny percentage compared to them. So in the West, if we say it's going to split it in the West, it's not even like 50-50. At best, maybe you take 30% in the West, at best. And then in the East, yes, in the East, yeah, is from the East. But even then, there are some parts of the South South that they would rather vote Atiku than uh, Obi. So even the East is not like clear cut, it will blanket take the place. And then in the East itself, the Southeast itself, there are those people like me that our mind don't come out from Nigeria. Anything to anything to do with Nigeria doesn't concern us again.
You gave
Those
up.
are, it's not even about if you like give them 50,000 naira. If you like give them 5 million, they still will not go and vote.
All
You
right,
know,
Starman. Thank you for ruining my nights.
sorry, sorry, sorry.
Thank you. I'll be honest with you. I wanted to join the obedience, the Obi Dati rally yesterday in London, but
Yeah,
just didn't have enough notice to prepare for that. You know, because as far as I'm concerned, I agree with everything you said, totally. But for me, my thought is that until we get to that point where there is an opportunity to make like the sort of change that we're looking for, we need a pathway to that place. And if in the next dispensation, Obi is the pathway, I want to rally round that thing that looks like can take us to that pathway of finally getting to that place where you are talking about. Right. So,
I mean, I on principle, I think people should just not vote, just because that in itself is a vote. You are voting yourself out of a system that's against you. It's a vote on principle. Yeah. But hey, you know, I can't tell people not to vote.
if they don't
Uh,
vote, if a certain part don't vote, the other part will vote, then what difference does it make to the
and
outcome?
exactly, and then they'll blame me that it's you that said we shouldn't vote. So, well, you guys go and vote.
Starman,
But
Starman, even more than blaming you, if
uh,
if a certain group of people say we're not going to vote because this is us not endorsing this failed system or this structure or the
yeah,
constitution that needs to be restructured, but then there is a certain part of the country that it favors. So what did
yes,
we gain
exactly,
from that process?
exactly.
It's
I
a
mean,
lose-lose anyway.
yeah, I mean that in itself is a vote because you can now go to court. You can now, even basically, you have evidence to show that look, we didn't participate. We don't subscribe to this. We don't agree. So, yeah, at least you've taken action towards to show your opposition.
Mm.
Yes, even if everybody in Nigeria didn't vote, yeah, if one person in the east votes, that's even if everybody in the south didn't vote, people in the east vote, they will still try and say, yeah, yeah, an election happened. But the thing is, you can use the numbers, the disparaging numbers, and say, okay, well, Nigeria, 80 million registered voters. In past elections, an average of 20 million turnout. But in this election, turnout was 8 million. What happened? Why did some people not turn out in
So where are you
mass?
going to go and where are you going to go and have this discussion or this debate or this where are you going to argue this in a court that is in a court in Nigeria that is controlled by these same people? What's the
Well,
way out?
well, this is why I said in the beginning that P2B was coming to slow down the self-determination movements. Now, uh, the self-determination movements, Biafra, Oduduwa Nation, as we speak, they have their case files all around the world on any desk that matters, that needs to hear about these new nations and what they're going through.
Right.
They start their case files. It looks bad that suddenly your people, because they think their man is going to win, now suddenly turn 360, go and subscribe to what they said they want to break away from.
Right. So I
And
see
then
what
they
you're
now
saying.
lose.
It's like what Ninas is doing. So going to go and vote. What ground will Ninas, people like Ninas, what platform will people like Ninas have to continue to push the agenda of their agenda of making sure that there
Exactly.
is
It, it, it,
a,
okay,
a
imagine
level
Ninas
of
has a huge
mhm,
following. And Ninas has been saying, let's shut down the election. Let's shut
mm,
it down. Let's not even
mhm,
have it. Yeah.
mhm.
But then people now see, my tribesman, my tribesman, I beg, it might be good for me. They now break away from their ideology of Ninas. Go and vote. Meanwhile, Ninas has been going wherever they are going to internationally, saying, look, oh, this is the situation in Nigeria.
Mhm.
And then these international bodies are going to be looking, and
So
then they're
these are
going
the
to be
people
saying,
you're talking about that don't want to be part of Nigeria, and they're
exactly.
here
And
voting.
then, exactly. And then
Right.
as soon as the election is over, it didn't favor them, and they start shouting again,
They
oh,
come
you
back
want to break
again.
away. Nobody's going to take you seriously
That's
at this
right.
stage. You've just been
Mm.
crying wolf, wolf, wolf.
It's a very dicey situation, and
Yeah,
I wish that just that we could just resolve or make it easier by just having discussions, but that's not how it works. All right, Starman.
no, you see, this funny thing is, we could just have a referendum sort all this nonsense out. And guess what? A referendum is harder to rig than an election. No, seriously, how do you rig a referendum?
Hmm.
Well, all you have to do is answer yes or no.
Yeah.
How do you? It's harder to rig a referendum than an election.
Hmm.
You
And if
know
there was an opportunity to have a referendum, there are loads of people who truly will want to speak their minds because they know that's an opportunity of a lifetime.
exactly. And if you can have an election, it's the same structures you need to have a referendum.
Hmm.
And a referendum is not hinged on anyone's ambitions. Anyone's. It's not about Tinubu. It's not about Peter Obi. It's not
Hmm.
about Atiku. No, it's about you and your people. What do you guys want as a people? Nigerians, since the creation of Nigeria in Berlin, where there was no Nigerian in Germany or Berlin when they were carving it up, have never had a say in
And
all the structuring and
that's
restructuring
right.
that has gone on since.
That's right.
Berlin itself was Nigeria being structured into existence. Then they restructured it to Northern and Southern Protectorate. Then they restructured it to 3 regions. Then they restructured it to 4 regions. Then they restructured it to 12 states. Then 19 states. Then 24. Then 27. They've been restructuring Nigeria for over 100 years, and it hasn't paid. That's why when people say, "Oh, restructuring, restructuring," why do you think people keep saying, "Well, what exactly does restructuring mean? Is it more
Mm.
state? Is it going back to region?" Even that regionalism was restructuring
Hmm.
states. What does exactly does restructuring mean? You know,
That's right. Starman, thank you for getting us thinking again as we're all getting caught up in the euphoria of the possibility of Peter Obi bringing the magic wand and just changing everything, turning
Messiah,
everything around.
Messiah will be.
Um, all right, Starman, just so that our broadcast today doesn't go on forever.
Yeah,
Oh, it's always such a pleasure to see you and to have you. We should come back here and do our normal topics like we always do in educating our African brothers on the continent as
yeah,
far as, the things that make us tick here. Oh, I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined us, everyone who's going to watch later on, share this broadcast. And Washington Stanley, even though you were not able to join on screen, I could see you were 100% there, always sending in your comments. Thank you, brothers. See ya.
yeah. Thanks for having me, and Bailey.